It's been 100 years of this struggle, at least 100 years since Zionism came to be. And there hasn't been one Jewish person that calls themselves anti-Zionist, that carried arms against Zionism or was martyred in the path of liberation of Palestine or liberation of Judaism from Zionism. This is a condemnation for the Jewish people as a whole. When you see French, Italian, Japanese people that disagree with the crimes of their states, Japan, Italy, France, that carry arms and come and defend the victims of imperialism, but we don't see one Jewish person doing that. Hey everybody, this is Laith Marouf from Free Palestine TV, and we are just outside the Martyrs graveyard in Beirut. Today is May 15th, 2026. Before we continue with this report, I ask you to press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and to go to our website, freepalestine.video, to donate so we can continue bringing you this content. The reason we're here is because today is Nakba Day. It's 78 years since the Nakba, the catastrophe of the Palestinian expulsion and genocide from their homelands at the hands of the Jewish colonists. And we thought that it would be important to visit the graves of some of the prominent martyrs for Palestine that are buried here in Beirut, including some of the Palestinian leadership and the international warriors that were martyred on the path of the liberation of Palestine. Behind me in this graveyard is the grave of the first Lebanese martyr for Palestine, Khalil al-Deen al-Jamal. We weren't able to go inside to film here. We didn't get the permission to do so, but we thought it's important to start with him. He was, as I said, the first Lebanese martyr for Palestine. He was martyred in 1968, and he was only 17 years old. He's from Beirut, and he was with the Palestinian resistance in Jordan in a battle in the Jordan Valley when the Zionists attempted to invade Lebanon in 1968. And Khalil, with the warriors from the PLO that he was with, fought back and repelled the invasion of the Zionists, but unfortunately Khalil was martyred. His story is very important because when his body was being taken back from Jordan to Lebanon, hundreds of thousands of people marched with his caravan carrying his body from Jordan, through the border to Syria, and then eventually to the border between Syria and Lebanon, where again at least 100,000 Lebanese carried the coffin on their back. They didn't even let it go in a car all the way from the border with Syria over Mount Lebanon into areas that are mainly Christian, where all the Christian churches rang their bells, where the mosques were blaring prayers for him. 100,000 people marched from the border of Syria all the way to this graveyard where he was buried. This is important because a lot of these areas today that the caravan of his coffin went through are considered today as hostile to the Palestinian liberation, are controlled by Christian supremacist parties like the Kataib and the Quwat. But this was never the case then. It shows us how a huge change happened within the Christian leadership as more and more influence of the Zionist and the imperialist was made. And it shows us also, of course, that our brothers and sisters that are Christian Lebanese are for the liberation of Palestine and against this collaboration. I'm sitting beside the grave for Japanese martyrs of Palestine. These are members of the Japanese Red Army that came to Lebanon to train with the Lebanese and Palestinian fighters to help in the liberation of Palestine and Lebanese land from imperialism and Zionism. The top two names on this grave are part of the Japanese Red Army operation in coordination with the PFLP at the Lid airport when they attempted to capture Zionists as prisoners in order to exchange them for Palestinian prisoners and Lebanese prisoners. Two of the three brave men that coordinated this operation were martyred, and we're talking about Tsuyoshi Okudaira and Yasuyuki Yasuda. They were martyred on the spot, and the third person that was injured and then imprisoned, Kozo Okamoto. He's not buried here, he is still alive, and he was released in an exchange operation of prisoners in 1985. It was one of 1,000 Palestinian and Lebanese prisoners that were released as part of an exchange of prisoners. There's two more Japanese martyrs in this grave, Franco Himori and Osamu Maruoka, that were martyred later on, one of them being martyred in prison in 2011 because of his injuries, and the other being he self-immolated as a form of protest during the invasion of the West Bank and the massacres that were happening there during the Second Intifada in 2002. This is the grave of Italian martyr Franco Fontana, known as Joseph also. Franco is born in Bologna, and in the 1970s he converted, although he's a communist revolutionary, and he joined the DFLP, the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine. He came to Lebanon in the 1970s and was very well known for being a famous artillery sniper, basically. He used to train people on using Katyushas and other artilleries and go down to the south of Lebanon and bombard Zionist Jewish colonies in the north of Palestine. Franco had to leave Lebanon in 1982 along with the Palestinian resistance after the expulsion in 1982 of the Palestinian fighters from Lebanon. He stayed in Italy, but decided after that to come back to Lebanon and visit his colleagues, his comrades in arms that are in the refugee camps. And in 2015, while he was here visiting his friends in the camps, he had a stroke, a brain stroke. Obviously, the situation sometimes is heartbreaking for people like Franco. And the Italian government wanted to take his body back to Italy, but when they looked at his will, it said that he wanted to be buried in Palestine, and if he cannot be buried in Palestine, that he would like to be buried in Lebanon until Palestine is liberated and his body is moved back to Palestine. He said he wants that, so when the day comes for the liberation of Palestine, his children and his grandchildren will come and visit his grave and understand the sacrifice that he had put and the sacrifice of every other internationalist that was trying to help the liberation of Palestine. In front of me here is a mass grave for martyrs that died over the years. And there's an added name on this. It says Kamal Ergin, who was a socialist internationalist from Turkey, was imprisoned by the Turkish dictatorship that is controlled by the Americans and the Israelis in the 1970s. But in 1979, he escaped from his imprisonment and came to Lebanon to support the liberation of Palestine and South Lebanon. And unfortunately, he perished in what they're calling a sea accident in 1980 in South Lebanon, in Sur, 1981, I believe. Now, why we're mentioning him is because, as you can see here, there's a lot of names here. There's another marker there for more mass graves, and it's because they don't actually know where Kamal is buried. This graveyard was attacked multiple times over the years. This graveyard was started being built in the 1950s, both sides of the street. And originally, it was just part of the pine forest of Beirut. And people were burying the martyrs in unmarked graves, especially that in the 1950s, the Lebanese government was 100% collaborationist and was killing Arab nationalists, Syrian nationalists, resistance forces in Lebanon, and people would bury their dead without informing the government, so they don't get, attacked. And eventually, this, as I said, this graveyard was destroyed multiple times over the decades, and so some of the graves were lost. They didn't know where Kamal was buried, so they added his name to this mass grave of other martyrs, as well as we see that grave marker for the Sabra and Shatila martyrs. Here lies Al-Hajj Muhammad Amin al-Husseini, the Mufti of Palestine. He was born in Jerusalem in 1897, and he's famous, of course, for his resistance against the Zionist project early on in his life, all the way throughout World War II. And the Zionists hate him a lot because he met with Hitler during World War II to try to convince Hitler to not allow the Zionists to continue immigrating to Palestine. At the time, there was the agreement between the Zionists and the Nazis, the Havara Agreement, where Hitler was putting Zionist Jews on the trains, German trains, all the way to go to Palestine to colonize it, or putting them on boats to do so. Al-Hajj Amin al-Husseini, Muhammad Amin al-Husseini, was trying to stop this collaboration between the Zionists and the Nazis. And on that note, it's the Zionists that claim him to be a collaborationist with the Nazis when they were the ones that were collaborating with the Nazis. Hajj al-Husseini was exiled from Palestine, lived in Jordan, lived in Syria, and eventually he passed away here in Lebanon in 1974, where there was a huge ceremony for his burial. May God bless his soul. This is the grave of French martyr, Francoise Kesteman. She came to Lebanon in the early 80s. She had already seen what had happened in Algeria in her childhood, what the French did in the occupation there. And she decided to come and join to try to help. First, she joined the Palestinian Red Cross and Red Crescent in Lebanon and the Palestinian one also. But she saw with her own eyes the massacres and the invasion of Lebanon, Tal al-Za'atar massacre and Sabra and Shatila massacre that followed. So she decided to carry arms and join the struggle. In 1984, on September 25th, she was along with a group of Palestinian and Lebanese fighters were trying to cross into Palestine in the south of Lebanon, in the sea on a dinghy boat. And they were spotted by the Zionists and they shot them, and she was martyred. You know, Francoise, as the other internationalists that we visited their graves, resemble the best of humanity. They don't belong to Palestine as being Palestinians. They don't belong to Lebanon as being Lebanese, but they belong to the human struggle against oppression, and specifically oppression that's coming from states and societies that they belong to. Our French, Italian, and Japanese comrades that were martyred here were trying to make up for the collaboration of the regimes of the countries they belong to with the Zionist and imperialist oppression of our people here. They resemble the best of their nations. One thing that you noticed in our tour here is that we've seen European, Asian, Turkish, African, others that were martyred for Palestine, many of them being secular or Christian. But we haven't seen one Jewish martyr for Palestine. It's been 100 years of this struggle, at least 100 years since Zionism came to be. And there hasn't been one Jewish person that calls themselves anti-Zionist, that carried arms against Zionism or was martyred in the path of liberation of Palestine or liberation of Judaism from Zionism. This is a condemnation for the Jewish people as a whole. When you see French, Italian, Japanese people that disagree with the crimes of their states, Japan, Italy, France, that carry arms and come and defend the victims of imperialism, but we don't see one Jewish person doing that. This is unacceptable. There's no way we can find a justification for Jewish people not carrying arms against Zionism and imperialism or being martyred in defense of Palestine and Lebanon and its people.
سقط في اليوم الأول حوالي 8,000 قذيفة كانت مركزة كلها على منطقة المخيم. انقطعت كافة الأسلاك السلكية، يعني تليفونات، كهرباء، اتصالات السلكية ما بين غرفة العمليات والمواقع كلها قطعت، ونتج عنها أيضا أن قطعت كافة مواسير المياه وانحصر تواجد المياه في حدود المخيم.
This is the monument for the Tel Zatar massacre, Tel Zatar refugee camp, which was one of the worst massacres, of course, committed by the Zionists and their collaborationists. There's so many important names buried here. A lot of the Palestinian leadership, thinkers, poets, and others. And we can spend the whole day talking about them, and we should and we will come back to highlight their stories. But as we spent today visiting the international martyrs of Palestine, some of the most notable ones, this is because on this Nakba day, 78 years since the catastrophe, the expulsion, the genocide of Palestinians in their homeland, it is becoming more and more relevant for us to remind our viewers about the responsibility that they have as citizens of countries that are participating in the genocides and wars in our region here in Western Asia. People that are European, North American, people that are part of NATO countries or Japan or what have you, they all have a responsibility to help in the liberation of Palestine and help end the collaboration of their governments with the Zionist project. This is Laith Marouf for Free Palestine TV. I ask you to press the subscribe button one more time on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and to go to our website, freepalestine.video, to donate so we can continue bringing you this content. Until we see you next time, we bid you all a world free of Zionism, imperialism, and colonialism.